Hey guys, welcome back. In between episodes, I went to go and collect some materials and make sure that, I left the boring bits out. But I went to go get some materials, enough to finish this place up. Or at least this first half of it. Anyways, why don't we get started? So first, let's start building the frame. I want to make this a decent amount of height, obviously. We don't want to hinder ourselves and make it too short, so I think about 4 blocks should do it. 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Next, we probably want to add the walls first, at least to make it safer first. And as for the walls, I was thinking to go with just plain oak planks. It looked nice. Enough. Alright. Alright, let's start filling it out. We can make adjustments later on. Make sure they're... But first, we want to fill in the walls to at least get a rough idea of how big and shaped this place will be. Seems to run out, but that's okay. Can make some more. That's why I prepared. Next, we need to fill in the rest of the frame. Okay, we're gonna take a bit of damage, and that's okay. Alright. Let's fill in this last one, just to be sure. Alright, now we have a basic frame and wall up. Now, we start making adjustments. Obviously, we want to add some detailing. So first, let's make a axe. It will help us chop the wood faster. Okay. Alright. So, for this build, we want to have a little bit of lighting. Let's make a window here. Obviously, each wall inside that you make of your house, you want to add some detail. Give it some depth. You don't want a flat side like this. You want to give it a little bit of shape, however you can. For instance, here, we'll make a window, where we'll also make it a plain glass, where it's thinner, and it adds a little bit more shape and form to the wall rather than just a big flat piece. As for the inside, I also wanted it to make a little indoor window. Not with glass, but at least that way you can see between here and here. Now for the bedroom, which would be this, we do want to have a bigger window. Obviously we want to have some natural light coming in. Now for instance here we're going to have a door. So here, the natural light would be coming back from here, from this side of the window. which would be just perfect. I believe with that amount of outer light, it should be just enough to light up just a little bit of torches, and it should hold up just right. Let's put up some torches. There we go. As for here, the outer light will be coming from this main window, but I would like to have a little thinner window here to give it a little bit more form. Actually, let's put that one back in. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's turning nighttime. Let's call it in before the mobs come coming out. Alright. Now with this basic frame, you can see that it gives it a bit more shape and a bit more of it. Actually, hold on. Sorry. I'm gonna add a window here too. I feel like this wall is a little bit too flat. We'll decorate the outsides of these two later on. We don't want an entirely flat side. However, now that we're done with this frame, it gives it a bit more of a shape and a bit more presence of what we want to head for. Obviously, it's nice to limit yourself with a frame. It gives you a rough idea and shapes your mind on how you're going to want to build your building. However, just because we limit ourselves doesn't mean we shouldn't leave room for expansion. So first, why don't we start with making the basic details, adding a little bit more shape. So for now, we'll make a couple of staircases. First, as for the doors, I usually like to add a little indented. With these stairs upside down, it gives it a little bit more of an indent, a little bit more of a depth of field. Catches the eye as well. I like to use it for every one of my doors frames, so it gives it a little bit more shape. Now as for the windows, we need to also switch it up and give it a little bit more depth. One block deep isn't exactly as deep as the depth can go in a build, so obviously we wanted to give it a bit more shape with stairs as well. Actually, no. Let's make this a little bit taller. There we go. Now, not every window needs one. Sometimes it's just nicer to have a flat edge than an indented one. Gives it a little bit more variety. And as for this one, I also want to switch it up. There we go. Nice little indent. Little indent and shape to the build. Alright, now the next thing I want to handle is the floor. Obviously we don't want to stick with the dirt. I mean, who has dirt for their house on the inside? At least I don't think it'd be a nice fit for this type of build. Maybe if you were going for a natural build, then it would make a little bit more sense. Maybe a hobbit hole or a cave. That'd make it look nice. But for this, we're going for a nice, decent home. At least, what I think to be so. So for now, we're gonna take out this dirt. We're gonna add some cobblestone. Now, cobblestone is a very unused block. At least, I feel it is. It's not exactly the prettiest to look at, but I think it gives the floor a nice shape and texture with its variety of height and depth that each rock has in the block. rather. And let's not forget the most important part. Complete the frame. Here we go. Alright. See? With just a couple bit of details, it's starting to look a little bit more like home. Alright. Next thing we want to do is add the doors. Now, when facing these doors with their indents, it's better to put them on the inside. That way, the actual door fits in and gives it a little bit more depth instead of sticking out and jutting out and giving it a little bit of space that isn't exactly necessary. Also, I have an idea. Why don't we put a trapdoor here? Oh, wrong side. As this isn't a traditional window that stretches all the way to the bottom, it's more of a little air hole. Give, some ventilation to the inside. Great. Now it's starting to look a little bit more nicer. Obviously it's not finished. Next, we want to fill in the top. For now, I'm just going to fill it up with planks as well. As for the ideas for the top part of this build, isn't exactly complete yet. Later on, we can change these blocks. Give it a little bit more variety in the color palette. But for now, we do need a roof to protect from spiders. Alright, well, that's complete. We need one more step to complete this build. And that's the glass. So, why don't we make those glass planes? After all, give it some depth. There we go. You see? Gives it a little bit of depth, especially with those stairs. It looks like it's indented in. And then, since it's not a glass block, it doesn't take up the entire block. Gives it a little bit more depth. Now let's put in the rest. Careful with these glass planes. They are thin. There we go. And there we go. Gives it a real nice touch to the build. Why don't we just light it up? Put torches. And we just put torches where it's needed. I think in here is okay, especially with the natural light. As for the outside, we need to put some light out here too, so we can see our house from far away. There we go. Now it's all lit up. Alright, there we go. Added a lot of detail to this build. Now it's looking a lot more like home. A little bit bland, but for the start, it's pretty good. Alright. Well, thank you for joining me for this build. It's not the end of it, but this is all I can do for this episode. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.